Hey, it's Bryce and Barb here at Beach Fitness, back here with the idea of how do we fix this? No, but seriously, Barb works out a lot. Look at how wonderful she looks. Her arms look fantastic. She's been working a lot with her shoulders and her biceps and some tricep work.
I do a lot of tricep.
But there's a lot of ladies out there that are worried about getting this sort of, what do we call it, crepitus, sort of flab underneath the arm. And we want to do some exercises to train that. Now, there's a couple components that we need to look at. One is age is always going to be something that we need to consider. Two, how are you training that muscle, or how are you training the muscles in your arms? Because all of that muscular system is organized by the fascial system. The fascial system is what gives the architecture to our muscles, our body, right? So that's going to link a lot of different systems together, but most importantly, it's in the different layers of the muscle tissue. By creating movement and challenging the muscle, you can recondition the fascial system to have better architecture. There's also a component of genetics and even, we'll say, adipose tissue or fat that tends to build up in some of these areas. So what are the best exercises to train the tricep? Because we know a lot of exercises that we tend to see, like different kickback variations or rope pull downs and different things like that. We're going to do a little more specificity of what we can do with those types of exercises. I think the one thing that's ignored and most women avoid is actually creating resistance. Like, I don't want to lift heavy because I'm going to bulk up. But what they don't realize is your tricep is a big, powerful muscle. And if you don't train the power of that muscle, which means lifting heavy, you're not going to get a good result. Another muscle in your body that's very much the same is your calf muscle. If you want to have a good calf, you have to train that calf with a lot of resistance. It's not about getting the burn and doing 30 to 50 reps and doing these sort of sculpting exercises. You literally have to push some weight, and you really have to challenge the muscle to get a good shape of the muscle and to avoid things like this. Check it out. Our first exercise is going to be a kickback, but we're going to give you a couple different variations on how to do that kickback exercise. So typically we're going to be in some sort of position where we're kneeling on a hand and a knee, or both knees. If we're using a bench, we can be staggered off the side of the bench. Here we're just going to be on the mat, because sometimes this is the most effective way to do an exercise. So what we want to do is the setup of the exercise is make sure the knees are underneath the hips, about hip width apart. The spine is nice and flat. And then that supporting arm, which is going to stay straight, or even you can keep a little soft elbow, is going to be directly underneath the shoulder. We're going to take the weighted hand. Barb's using a nice little weight here to try to make sure she has good form, because it does get very heavy. And so the first thing we want to do, which is our typical position, is to do a hammer position kickback or a elbow extension. So what is important by doing this exercise is we get full extension of the elbow as she kicks back towards the hip, and that we really try to squeeze that tricep in that position. So it's good to have a slight pause to get a good contraction, and then slowly bring it back down. What we want to avoid is the swinging of the weight, where a lot of times people reach back forward and then swing back like she's doing here. When we're in this hammer position, we're working the big part of the tricep, which is called the long head of the tricep, which is closest to the body. And typically that's one of the more important areas to work, one, because it has a lot more force and power, and it tends to be the larger part of the tricep. And so a lot of times, especially if we've got sort of those wagging arms, that's part of the exercise that we want to work with to try to really lift heavy with that hand position. And a lot of times we see that with rope pull downs or any sort of hammer grip exercise. Now the next one that we want to progress into, because remember the tricep is 3 muscles, is we're going to extend back, and as we extend back we're going to turn our palm to the ceiling. When we turn the palm to the ceiling, we're working more the middle part of the tricep, and if we turn the back of our hand towards the ceiling or our palm down, we're working more the outside part of the tricep. So again, we want to work through full extension of that elbow. We want a slight pause to contract into this muscle. We want to keep the rest of the spine organized. Go ahead and relax that. Now, when we do a position like this, it can be a bit strenuous, especially a lot of times I like to work all 3 parts of the tricep in one round, because although we're working all the parts of the tricep, we want to try to really fatigue all the different parts. Now you can rest between each segment of exercise, but depending on the weight that they're using, you can try to keep that movement going. That can be a little taxing on that wrist or that hand that's in the down position. So as a variation, go ahead and lie on your back. This is another way to get this same style of exercise. In this same style of exercise, we can do all the different 3 hand positions as far as how we're going to concentrate on the muscle. She's going to support her straight arm with her other arm so that she can bend the elbow. Again, here's our hammer position, which she's going to bend towards the opposite shoulder and she's going to extend up towards the ceiling. Or she can go palm up towards the ceiling, which is going to be like our palm up towards the ceiling in our hands and knees posture, which is going to be more the middle fibers. And then if we turn the palm down and she extends up, she's now working more of this lateral part of the tricep, and you can see that that's contracting a little bit more there. Okay, so typically in any of these postures, again, if we're trying to stress the tricep and get a lot of load on it, we want to use a challenging weight that we can typically do about 8 to 12 reps with. And if we can do 8 to 12 reps, every set that we do, we can try to change the hand position to concentrate on the different parts. And that way we get a very functional workout for all parts of the tricep. So that way when you contract your tricep, you get something like this. We got a couple more exercises for you.